Peace everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, you've likely found my channel through interacting with me on a short or by some means, so it is very likely that you have some kind of an idea of what we're about here. So today I'm going to speak specifically about the way that we relate to our trauma and the way that it affects our lives. And I'm going to go into depth for the sake of actually assisting you and being able to move forward in your life productively, or in a way that's going to actually help you move forward with more inner peace, more inner strength, as opposed to perpetual loops. Now, studies have shown that your body responds to the memory of a traumatic experience that you have had. So let's say you got into a car accident and then you replay that memory, or somebody says, "What happened?" or "Why do you walk that way?" And then you, in wanting to communicate what happened to you, or in you being triggered by something that's happening in your immediate environment and replaying that memory in your mind, the cells in your body actually start to respond to the memory that you are replaying in your mind by either communicating it to another person who's curious about you, or by way of your mind being triggered by the experience. So this is a very essential thing to understand as you are going through your process of healing, because when you are in a state of healing, I think it's a state of being, to be in a healthy state, right? So there's the healing that you do, that you think you're doing, and then there's the healing that's actually taking place. And usually when you think you're healing and you're not, you're replaying cycles and you're not getting better, you're not seeing results. You need to see actual results in order to truly feel as though you are healing. And this is where social circles, groupthink, different areas in life are actually affecting your ability to assess yourself accurately, and the ways in which you choose to live your life, be it because you don't know any better, or be it because you're comfortable or you are acclimated to that on some layer or level of the body, right? The emotional body, the mental body, the energetic body, that you are incapable of actually seeing the ways that this healing, this quote unquote healing, is affecting you. You have to truly desire healing to actually heal. You have to be willing and able to understand what is helpful and what is unhelpful. And when we have attachments to certain ways of being and thinking, or we have attachments to things that we had high hopes of helping us, it's difficult to look at those things and say, that's not going to help me. You want to genuinely believe that that thing that you are holding on to for dear life, or that you're genuinely so afraid of letting go of, is going to be of service to you, when in reality, it's the reason why you perpetually create this narrative that you're healing when you're actually not healing. So let's get into it. Healing can take place on many levels and layers of the body, and being that all these levels and layers of the body are interconnected, they are all one. You must be able to address every part of yourself and every part of your life in order to successfully head in the direction that is more in alignment with the frequency of actually being healthy. Let's just say being healthy would be having a positive mindset, not the toxic positive mindset, the positive mindset, being joyful, being happy, the high vibrational frequencies, not in a constant state of pain, not in a constant state of agony, not having, these abnormalities, growths, things that are threatening your life, right? All these things not being present within the body. Let's just say that is healthy. You don't have mental narratives that drag you down, that make you think negative about yourself and about the world. And let's just say that unhealthy would be being constantly stressed out, anxietized, masking your pain with substances or with different mental narratives that are feeding into other areas of your life that are making you unhealthy. So that could be anger, frustration, that could be an unhealthy financial situation, an unhealthy environment in the home. There's so many different places that we could actually be unhealthy, and all of these areas are contributing to your overall state of wellness. Now, all of this information is going to do nothing for you unless you actually apply it to your life. So, like I said, the intention here is for you to take this information and truly utilize it in a way that's going to help you. That's what I'm here to communicate to you, how you can apply this information so that you are capable of actually moving forward in a way that's substantive, in a way that's going to transform your life to the extent that you are capable by just observing my videos, right? And you could always reach out to me and work with me one-on-one if you'd like to go a little bit deeper, if you need help navigating things that are more complex for you. It is not complicated, and when we overcomplicate life, or when we contort ourselves to be agreeable to everybody and everything, especially in a world that is going to want to sell you something, you are setting yourself up for a much more difficult path, a path with way more resistance that externally appears like there is less resistance there. So to be honest with yourself and to be able to go within yourself without all of these external influences flooding your brain, especially when we have all this information available to us at our fingertips, right? If the information was the solution, then you would not have so many problems. And I'm not trying to push problems on you or anything like that. And you very well could be here so that you could be of service to somebody else. And maybe you're inspired by my videos in a different way, right? That's for you to decide. But truly understand that all of this information does nothing unless you understand and you accept the fact that you're responsible. You have to be responsible. And being responsible means that you do not allow all of these external influences to make you contort yourself so that you could be pleasing to other people, so that you could be acceptable to other people. Because this is a major source of so many physical ailments. You have been conditioned to not trust your body, not trust your spirit, your soul, your gut, your mind. You have to be able to receive the information that people are sharing with you to assist you on your journey in a way that's going to actually help you, not in a way that's going to help them. You could be of service to others, but first you must be of service to yourself. People who are being of service to you are doing so from the goodness in their heart and from a position, more often than not, that isn't even reflective of their internal state. I'm just going to be completely real about it. So many people speak on things that they don't actually live. So you don't want to go around and trust everything that you hear. You have to set a standard for yourself. What is your standard? Do you live by it? Do you abide by it? And when there is the inevitable influx of information that suggests that you should go against your standard, are you going to bend to that? Are you going to, like I said, contort yourself in such a way as to be nice or as to be accepting? There's no part in this where you have to be accepting of everything, of everybody. You can reject others just as much as you should and can reject the aspects of yourself that are keeping you unhealthy. Baseline. Without that, there is no hope for healing. There is just confusion and convolution and all of these manifestations of diseases, incurable diseases is what people are calling it. If you were born into this earth with in a state of health, you can reclaim that You can reestablish that within yourself. You can tap back into that natural blueprint that you were in of perfect health and wellness, even when the world tells you that it is impossible. So understanding the power of the mind and understanding the nature of your emotions, increasing your ability to have emotional intelligence, which is the proper application with the information that you're receiving through your emotional guidance system. Your emotions are there to teach you something and to share something with you. I've said it countless times on my channel. You guys already know. For all of you guys who stay watching my videos and return back to my videos, you guys already know what that is. But perhaps you haven't broken the pattern of behavior that makes you go against your emotions for the sake of these group thinks, these spheres of influence that are deteriorating your sense of discernment. I've been speaking a lot about discernment as of lately. So your brain is a computer. You are highly intelligent. Your body is highly intelligent. I feel like my audience is just a group of highly intelligent people who are honing in on their skills on how to navigate with a high degree of intelligence and learning how to let go of the conditioning, the social conditioning, the familial conditioning that in a sense forced you, and at some juncture you had to take responsibility for this, to ignore your own intelligence or to go against your own natural intelligence and to choose the worst path, the lesser paths. To be in a state of accepting the fact that there are, in fact, things that are better for you, that make you a better person, is to accept the fact that you are better than that. I am better than that. And that very well may be a group of people, a sphere of influence. This sphere of influence might be better than that sphere of influence for you. If you operate from the mind frame that nobody's better than anybody else and everybody's equal, how are you relating to that statement? Actually, are you aware of how you're relating to that statement on a subconscious level? Because that subconscious level is what matters most. That is the meat and potatoes, the juice. That is what's going to project out into the reality that you're seeing. So how do you relate to that statement truly on a subconscious level? Are you still operating from the conditioning? That very relationship that you have, that you very well may have to that statement, could come from this conditioning that was designed specifically to make sure that you work against you. Do not work against your own intelligence by saying that, oh, nobody's better than anybody else. It's okay. It's okay for your sphere of influence to be better than that sphere of influence. You have to be able to accept the fact that there are things that you should avoid and evade 150% for good reasons. And when you're in the face of that thing, it's not to be disrespectful. It's not to do things that are completely out of pocket, but to call a spade and move forward with your life and to learn how to navigate with those things that you're seeing. You see it for what it is and you keep it pushing. Your body is highly intelligent. So let's circle back to this conversation about the memory. Your mind remembers and then your body responds. Your cells respond. But over time, that core memory, that initial memory that caused the trauma gets shaped into something different. So then your body responds to what it has actually shaped into. So let's say you had a core trauma that was heavily emotional and familial. And then after 10 years, what actually happened has been completely and utterly distorted by what you think has happened. And because you have an attachment to the story that was created, you have been incapable of letting it go. And as a result, you have also worsened your condition. Or maybe it got better. Who knows? A little bit better. But the main thing is the attachment to the story that has been corrupted or that has been transformed. It doesn't even have to be corrupted. It could just be a story that has been transformed. If you truly desire to heal, you must be accepting of the actual aspects of yourself that were hurt. You must be accepting of the fact that something has hurt you in your life. Not justifying those things, not accepting them as incorrect, accepting them as something you didn't deserve, accepting these things for what they were, not for what you have been conditioned to believe what they were, or not what you have turned the story into to make it more palatable. That's what the brain does. The brain forces you to forget something that's overly traumatic because you can't handle it, especially if you're a child. The child brain can only handle so much. Make sure that you move forward with this understanding. You have changed the story, or the story has changed naturally. What does this do? Why does this serve you? And why will this continue to serve you as you move forward? The application of this awareness in moments where you feel overwhelmed. Awareness is application. You become aware of something and it changes. If you become aware of it and you actually apply that awareness into your life by remembering it and by reestablishing it into your mind when you're going back to these old patterns, that is a form of application, a very powerful and necessary form of application in which no other transformation can occur until that happens. So you circle back to this awareness in those moments. The awareness being that the way it serves you to recall the fact that your story has been changed over time is by way of letting go of the story, detaching from the story that is highly inaccurate, that your body is responding to. Or perhaps bits and pieces of it are accurate, although you cannot be too sure. Why? Because you're so far removed from the initial trauma. You're so far removed from it. But if you believe subconsciously, and you have trained yourself subconsciously to believe that that story that has been transformed over 10 years is true present day, your body cells are going to respond accordingly to your subconscious belief. That is an attachment to something that is distorted. So how can you heal from something that you're attached to and that is completely and utterly distorted? That is where social spheres of influence come in and create narratives and group pendulums that accept the narrative and operate in a form of healing that does not address this reality. This scientifically proved reality that your body is responding. So surely this is something that is spoken about in psychology. I'm not a psychologist. I'm speaking from my heart and from my experience and the very little that I've learned, and I'm translating it to you in the way that feels right within me and from a place of health and wellness. So when you let go of the attachment, you let go of the story that is highly distorted, probably, you're able to redirect your focus in other areas. There is no part of this where you feel healthy, where you feel well, where you feel energized, where you feel like you can let go until you operate in a different way. You must make the change. You're never going to be able to make the change if you're attached to this story and to this narrative that holds you back and all the other areas that promote healing. When you focus on your body and you give your body attention, it allows for the trauma to leave your body in specific ways, through the breath, through movement. If you are attached to the story, you neglect the movement and you ruminate on the negativity of the story that has been created and that has been distorted and that on some level was very real for you. It's not to take away that experience, but it's to understand that the attachment to the story prevents you from acting in a way that is required in order to be healthy and in order to heal. And that story, that anger, that frustration, you can then operate in a way where you neglect yourself because you think you deserve it on a subconscious level. You reject yourself consciously and unconsciously. And so the perpetuation of this state of being is inevitable. You have to be able to take care of your body. So that's a great baseline. If you have been feeling as though it's okay or it's acceptable to neglect your physical being because of the pain that you feel, you're wrong. You have to address your body and you have to honor your body. You don't want to push beyond the bounds of what your body is asking you for. Truly, right? Like, I'm not going to stretch my leg farther than it can go, but I'm not going to say, oh, this feels a little bit painful because I'm stretching more than I usually do. You breathe through the expansion. When it's within the bounds and when it exceeds the limits, when it exceeds the bounds, or when it's beneath the bounds, you are able to choose the right path. If you don't have an idea of what that is, then, and paired with the attachment to the story that you've created, that you're relying upon to continue to self-destruct, it's going to be really challenging. So this is a great example. Let's say you stretched for a week. By day 7, you can actually touch your toes. Does that mean that once you've reached your toes that you don't feel pain in your hamstrings and in your quads or in your calves? No, you feel the pain. But on day 1, touching those toes and having somebody stand behind you and push you down to your toes when you were not ready. You needed those 7 days to get to your toes. That is exceeding the limits. Somebody behind you that you believed in what they were saying pushed you beyond the bounds that you could handle, and you touched your toes. You are responsible for you. If you tell somebody behind you that it's okay for them to push you more and more when internally you know that it's not, you have to be able to communicate that. So you exceeded the limits. You exceeded the limits, even though and the reason why is because you allowed this person behind you to assist you in exceeding the limits. You touched your toes. Next day, you can't even get out of bed, let alone stretch. Or let alone stretch to the degree that you were on day 1. But let's say every day you stretch a little by little and every day you take it a little further. By day 7, you touch your toes and you are pushing farther than you've ever done. Your mind wants to stay in the safety zone, so it might not go more even though it knows it can. If you know that you can go more and push more, but make sure you're breathing through it. Without the breath, the benefits are not there, or they're not as potent. So push more. Don't be afraid to go beyond just because the mind is telling you that it's not safe. But do not exceed the limits, and do not allow others to assist you in exceeding the limits. And be able to communicate. Be able to know. If you don't know how to communicate, that's fine. That's a practice, and you might need assistance in being able to communicate. I know I sought out extensive assistance in being able to learn how to communicate my boundaries and honor my boundaries from within so that the communication was effortless. Creating a relationship with your body, with your energy, with your life that is rooted in your heart center, that is rooted in clarification, in things that are irrefutably true. You need oxygen in order to live on this earth. You need it. There are things that are irrefutably true. You need boundaries to operate in this world in a healthy way. You need to know and accept the fact that you are responsible for your life. You need to accept and know that there are things that you 100% stand for and things that you 100% do not stand for. And you need to move accordingly to those things. Your body is listening. Your body is remembering. Your body is recording. This fly, I swear, is pissing me off so bad. And your body is operating more often than not from a state of being that you wish to transcend, that you must move beyond in order to break the cycles that you experience. This is a general conversation. This is not a specific conversation. If you would like to get into the specificities of things, then we can have a dialogue one-on-one. But until then, the generalization is available to you. And feel free to comment, feel free to interact with one another and have conversations amongst yourselves about what it is that I'm communicating here.